Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time for the third episode of Spoiler Alert. Welcome, everybody. Let me take care of some business and then we'll get started. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. Basically, YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you want to watch and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos. My vast video library and pops it up there just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can as well, hit that like button and the share button as well. And if you want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, you hit the bell down below. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule I have up there. I change it out every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media, so Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, and also the links to my pages here. So my YouTube channel page, my Facebook page, and for those of you who still have Facebook, a Facebook group page where you guys can post stuff and chat amongst yourselves. All right. Well, got a couple people in here. Spoil away whatever you guys want to talk about, spoiler wise, the end of Loki, Black Widow, what else we got out there that just came out? Not a hell of a lot, really. I mean, there's a lot of stuff coming out, in the coming weeks here, but yeah, anything you guys want to talk about? I've started watching, what was it? Well, I should say I've been watching the second season of Motherland, Fort Salem, and that's getting kind of interesting. The whole, I don't know, uh, basically the mushroom that's growing in their basement is sentient, and they call it she, and it's infected Raylene, and so she's getting, I guess, superfied, amplified witch powers. There you go. Philip A. Demick says, I didn't see episode 3. Don't spoil it. Too late. It's already been spoiled. Yeah, if you come in here and you get spoiled by something, that's your own fault. That's why the sign's up there. So this is a spoiler zone. So yes, you will be spoiled. There's another spoiler alert sign up there. Yeah. So Stanley says, I still find the spree terrorist actions of the last season not justifiable. Yeah, it's basically MacGuffin is really what it is. Thanks, Raymond. You didn't need to do that. Oh, and you found a little spoiler alerts sticker too. Neat. Oh man. Yeah, the this dumping of the spree, because I have a feeling that what happened is they were looking at them and are like, having the witches be bad guys and good guys at the same time is problematic. How about we make them work together and we have another villain, and they bring in Cabrera or whatever it is, and so they're the humans that are hunting witches now and all that stuff. And I have a feeling that was what happened, was they wanted the spree and the army to work together, which is what they're doing right now anyway. And yeah, with Scylla, so I don't know. It's still, I mean, it's got some good stuff in it. It just, I think they need to work it a little bit more on their story to get things right. It could be a decent series on another network like Amazon, or, and I wouldn't even put it on yeah, you can put it on Amazon, do it weekly, I would say. Yeah. Not on Netflix though. Netflix, I think, would just ruin it, dumping it all at once. You need to have weekly episodes. And again, that's the reason why I say, I mean, Netflix sucks just for that reason, is they just dump everything all at once. I know people love that, but at the same time, it ruins it for word of mouth, for longevity. Yeah, it really does. It really, really does. Stanley says, witches are a metaphor for discriminated people. The bad witches thing is kind of problematic. Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know if it's a metaphor for discriminated people. I don't know what it's. I don't even know if it's a metaphor. I think they just said, "Hey, witches are cool. We'll do it that way." So, I do like how they changed the lyrics to America the Beautiful, because it's male centric, the original, and they changed it to female centric in the ad. I just don't know what the glitch thing was and why it looked like it was made in the 70s. Yeah. That was the thing that bothered me. I was like, isn't it supposed to be taking place in like, the 21st century? I know it's an alternate reality kind of thing where things had transpired differently within the United States, but still, I mean, I think it would have been. It just it kind of really weirded me out. That was the one thing that whole piece that Alder did to the recruitment the commercial, and it just smacked of 70s. I mean, it looked like a 70s commercial, even down to the size letterboxing and everything like that. It was all 4:3 aspect ratio and whatnot. Yeah. Stanley says the recruitment reminded me of Star. Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. It did have a little bit of Starship Troopers stuff in there too. So, but some interesting stuff. I'm also watching season 2 of Solar Opposites, and so that whole thing with the people on the wall with um God, the death by magic shell. Basically, they have the little people inside of a bong, a leftover bong, and the magic shell over the top, and they just pour it on them, and it solidifies and yeah, suffocates. And I was like, that's actually a pretty horrific way to go. That was fairly inventive, but also horrifying at the same time. That someone actually sat there and thought about that. Yeah, it tells you a lot. That someone was taking some major bong hits while they were thinking about that one. Stanley says next week the Troll Hunters finale movie drops on Netflix. Okay. I haven't seen any of the Troll Hunter stuff. I know that's the Guillermo del Toro animated stuff, right? I haven't watched any of it. So I heard it's good. I just, I got to pick and choose when I'm watching. Sometimes I pick poorly, and most of the time I pick wisely. So, yeah. The series is good. Okay. Yeah. Of course, we got He-Man coming out next week, or this week, I should say, on Friday. Of course, it's dropping all at once, so that's going to be, is it worth my time kind of thing. Trying to think what else. What If at least is going to be weekly, so I can actually cover that weekly. That's going to be August 11th. Titans is going to be coming out while they're dropping the first 3 episodes, and then it's going to be weekly thereafter. So I'll probably do the first 3 as a bunch, and then do the other 3 or the others as they come out. People are pretty fickle, honestly, when I'm doing reviews and stuff like that. They don't want to see if it's dropped all at once. They don't want to see episode by episode because it's already all come out, and they're like, just fast forward. It's like, or yeah. Raymond says after Loki, I was surprised you didn't mention the Council of Kangs and how Rick and Morty paid homage to that. Rick being essentially Kang. Yeah, I didn't mention it, Raymond, because people already know the Council of Ricks and stuff. I think I meant to mention the Council of Ricks and how it was a ripoff of the Council of Kangs, which was in the 60s. I believe 63 is when they mentioned that in the comics. But yeah, I kind of figured everyone really knew about it too. There was a lot more other stuff that I wanted to cover anyway on that. And they hadn't gotten to the Council of Kings, so they really didn't bring up the Council of Kings other than by name. He just said they met, but they didn't say a Council of Kings. Philip Dynamic says the one bit of good news I got this week is they cast the woman from Person of Interest and Sex Life as Isis. Isis was one of my favorite DC characters growing up. Okay. Didn't they actually cast her a while back? No, Isis the superhero, Stanley. So yeah, if you go back and take a look at, I don't even know what's on HBO Max, but they used to have, along with Shazam, the '70s Shazam, they had Isis, um, one of the superheroes, and she actually had her own show on Saturday mornings and stuff like that. And yeah, as a matter of fact, on Legends of Tomorrow, Zari's character is supposed to be the Isis character, if you will. Yes, Isis, the Egyptian goddess, correct. Yeah. But since Barad took over or came back into the timeline and took over the totem, of course, they don't really mention it as Isis. They just call it the totem. And they don't have a superhero name for Barad and Zari in that. They just call it use your totem and blow some air around. Yeah. But no, she's actually a superhero in the DC comics. Yes. And yes, it is supposed to be along the likes of Shazam and Black Adam. I believe it's all in that realm, if I remember correctly. It's been a while. But I could have sworn they actually had cast her a while back, Philip. I think I remember talking about it. And I want to say that was like back in January, somewhere around there. That's how long ago. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember. Just because this is bothering me at the moment. There we go. Do a little bit like that. Nah, there we go. Now it's where I want it to be. Trying to get the things all looking good there. Raymond says, so all those kids in Shazam will be young adults by the time part 2 comes out, right? Yeah. Well, they've already filmed, I think, the good majority of it. They started filming the end of last year, or the beginning of this year. I don't know. I want to say it was February. February they started filming. So yeah, it's been about 3 years since they filmed the last one. 2 years, somewhere around there. Stanley says, I was confused by the changed timeline of the TVA. Wasn't the TVA outside of time? Do we have multiple TVAs now? The TVA is whatever king controls it. So he who remains is dead, but his influence, of course, I guess was taken. I don't know. So they're gonna have to remedy that one as to what happened with it. And we don't know if the TVA actually exists outside of time or if it was a different universe or what it was. Hey, Mr. Roboto. I don't know, Mr. Roboto. There's a website for that. I think if you go to Disney.com, you can always take a look over there, and they should be able to have what the prices are for you. Stanley says, so Sylvie is now the new time god. No, she's just happens to be in the Citadel at the end of time, is where she's at. And she's with the dead body of Immortus, is where she's at. And on the other side of where Alioth is at. So there's, like I said, there's multiple things that are multiple threads that have been left dangling. We don't know where Ravonna's going to. We don't know what happened to B-15. No one has explained how the variants that are working at the TVA had their memories erased or wiped or changed or anything like that, because that hasn't been explained either. So is it all because of time, them getting taken out of time? Has something else happened to them where we don't know? We don't know who this new king is, who's taken over the TVA, if it's the same TVA, if it's a different TVA, if what's going on. We don't know any of that. So yeah. Raymond says, "Do you think Marvel brought in the multiverse so the writers won't have to stress as much with continuity, give them more freedom?" No, um, I'm. We knew this was planned for a while, and it's the perfect way of bringing in, Fantastic Four, X Men, things like that, without having to explain. Where were you during the Battle of New York? Where were you when Thanos showed up, or when we had the whole Thanos problem, where were you guys at? And they can go, well, multiverse at that point. It's also how you can bring in Blade and vampires. Remember Mobius talking about vampires being real, so that it brings in Blade and you know that whole thing. You also get Midnight Suns as well. So I just read yesterday or last night that they have a new timeline of events of when the movies and TV series happens, and Loki happens just after Endgame, and then WandaVision happens after Loki, and Falcon and Winter Soldier happens after Loki as well. Thanks, Mr. Roboto. $2 theory on Gator Loki. I say Pet Avengers universe. Possibly. That's a good possibility. Raymond says, "Oh, so that can explain the absence of the Eternals as well." Correct. Yeah, since the Eternals were now just seen, coming up here. I forgot to put that movie on my list of things, The Eternals. I keep forgetting about it, quite honestly. Stanley says, "I assume the Eternals not interfering with Thanos makes more sense now." Yeah, it does. It makes a lot more sense because that was the one thing that we were all asking is like, where the hell was this at? Also, it can make Shang-Chi a bit more um, accessible as well, because depending on how powerful those rings are, it'd be like, okay, well, if Chang-Chi is a good guy and he has these rings at his control, where was he during this whole thing as well? So yeah, everything is not set in stone. Raymond says Disney would be crazy not to introduce Pet Avengers, being a kid-oriented company and all. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see a animated Pet Avengers series at some point. Could we get a Gator Loki series? I know that Richard Grant was trying to push for a classic Loki series, and then also I think he wanted Gator Loki to be in there as well, which I thought would be really funny. But then again, I'm a huge Richard Grant fan, so I was telling somebody the other day, he's in Hudson Hawk. He is the villain in Hudson Hawk, or one of the villains. Him and Sandra Bernhard, they play brother and sister. And there's a great line that he says in there that he says to Hudson Hawk, he goes, "I'll torture you so long you'll think it's a career." And it's funny, but at the same time horrifying. You think about it the same way. And yeah, if you can deliver with enough menace, I think it would be a good line. But he's great. I mean, Richard Grant's great. I mean, him also in The Hitman's Bodyguard, as in the very beginning, as the drugged out executive, the coked out executive who's paranoid and needs to be transported by Ryan Reynolds' character. And Ryan Reynolds has already scoped out the entire building, taken out everybody out, and as he's escorting him out the building. And they're like, "Well, why don't we take my car?" He goes, "Nope, we're not taking your car at all." And as soon as they walk away, his car explodes. Richard Grant's, the character's car explodes because, of course, everyone knew that was his car. But yeah, I mean, I would watch a classic Loki series. I mean, you're not going to get one, of course, because the whole thing about these Disney Plus series are to feed into the movies. And Kevin Feige was very, very clear about this from the beginning. All the Disney Plus series are to feed into the movies. That's what they're there for. Um, This is to set up backstories for the movies, or set up plot lines for the movies, or set up character arcs, or character origins, that kind of thing. It's better to do it on Disney Plus for less money than having to just launch a movie and spend that kind of money out there. And it's easier doing it this way. Stanley says, "Do we know what is next for Marvel on Disney Plus after What If?" Yeah, Hawkeye. It is Hawkeye, because that's set up at the end of Black Widow. Black Widow. So the other thing we don't know at the end of Black Widow is if Yelena, if she disappeared during the blip. If she disappeared during the blip and then came back after Nat's already gone, and then Valentina got her hooks into her and basically said, "Hey, Clint is the reason why Natasha's gone, and here, why don't you come work for us and we'll help you get him," kind of thing. I'm sure that's what she was doing. Yeah. Raymond says, "You'll think they'll bring back the Watchers." Yeah, we're getting Jeffrey Wright. He's going to be voicing the Watcher. Well, he's going to be voicing Uatu in What If. But in the movies themselves, I don't know if we're going to get the Watchers. We probably will. I I would say it's a better than average bet that we're going to have the Watchers at some, maybe even a blink and you miss it kind of thing in Doctor Strange 2. I wouldn't be surprised if Sam Raimi put that in. That would be awesome if he did. So I would think it'd be a blink and you miss it kind of thing, or he could have like a little scene to it. Who knows? Yeah. Silver says, Hawkeye, the only series I'm not fussed about. Uh, I I'm interested in it. I really am. Well, of course, you're going to get Kate Bishop. They're phasing Jeremy Renner out because he's near the end of his contract obligations, which is fine considering that the whole host of personal problems that he has going on in his personal life. They want to get distance from him sooner rather than later, and I think this will probably be his last outing, if anything. So I'm okay with that. Mr. Roboto says they gave Thor a metal armor. Will they give Loki a metal band, a metal hand? It's possible. Who knows? Silver says I always find the character so damn boring. Well, that's because they didn't make him a mutant. That's why, Silver. If they had actually made him the comic character that he was supposed to be, which we thought he was in the very first time that we saw him, he's sitting high up above, and this is during Thor when he's watching over the hammer, and he's in the eagle's nest, if you will, to keep an eye on everything. And the first thing I was thinking of, oh, they're doing the mutant Hawkeye, which is, it's kind of like Bullseye in a way, where he has the ability to hit every single target that he's aiming at. But no, they didn't go that route. They were just like, yeah, he's up there, looking at it. Stanley says, "Isn't Uatu the narrator in What If?" Yeah, he's the narrator in What If, and basically he's looking at all the different realities. So Raymond says, "I would listen to any audiobook spoken by Jeffrey Wright. He has that entrancing voice. He does. He's got a good voice." Mr. Roboto says he was going to leave either way. Hawkeye's still the best. Hawkeye hasn't been that best, the greatest thing. I mean, he's been good. I would have rather have seen Mutant Hawkeye. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to What If as well. What If's going to be a good series. Hawkeye is Avengers Batman? No. Iron Man is Avengers Batman. Iron Man is completely Avengers Batman. Hawkeye is just he's Green Arrow, if anything, without the money. Is what Hawkeye is. Yeah. Stanley says, "Has anyone seen Resident Evil? I didn't hear good things about it." You mean the animated one that's on? The animated one that's on Netflix right now. I can't remember what the Resident Evil whatever the subtitle is. It was kind of shitty. It's only 4 episodes long. They're 4 half-hour episodes, and yeah, it's pretty shitty. It's not great. And yeah, they bring back Claire, they bring back Leon. They don't excuse me, they really don't do much with them. So it's basically it's basically a movie. Poorly animated too. At the very end, Leon's walking back into the White House, and you can tell they rendered the whole background and everything. They did that fairly well. And then they inserted, Leon's character. That's usually what you're doing when you're rendering out stuff is you do the background stuff and then you do the motion stuff on top of it and just, let it run. And he has no shadow. And you could tell that he's kind of stuck out from the background of it. And it's poorly animated too. So there's at one point there's a little stutter when he first turns around to go back into the White House, but then the long shot of him walking down the road, it's just really bad. And I was just sitting there looking at him like, did you guys not have any time? Were you pressed for time? Did something happen with the render? Did you not do enough renders on this? It was enough where I'm just getting kind of thrown out of it. And I was thinking about all the different things they had done. And mind you, I haven't been in the animation world in quite some time, and I'm catching this kind of shit. So I can imagine what people who haven't are just kind of looking at it going, that looks pretty shitty. Yeah. Raymond says, "Do you think the Hawkeye series will cover My Life as a Weapon?" I sure hope so. No, it's the Kate Bishop series. Uh, Raymond, this is all introducing Kate Bishop. There was a Hawkeye series where they introduced her, and I can't remember what it is. So Lucky the Pizza Dog is going to be in it. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, so that's the series they're going after. No, Mr. Roboto, there's actually a when they do the DC Marvel crossovers, like the Avengers and Justice League crossovers, they have their characters pair off with their counterparts in those. So it's always been that Batman and Iron Man. Um, well, they've had Batman and Captain America because they're good at strategy. And then there's also Batman and Iron Man because of the gadgets and stuff like that. Or they've had Batman and uh, no, it's been Batman and Iron Man, yeah. And usually Green Arrow and Hawkeye. Raymond says Kate's in My Life. Okay, I haven't read that one, so you would know more on that one than I would, Raymond. Sorry, I'm looking at a little passed out dog here on the couch right next to me. So she went to the park earlier today, so she's passed out, which is good. Yeah. Since we're on spoilers, I fell asleep during the first episode of Monsters at Work. I did too, Stanley. I am going to be talking about it on Tuesday. So that one I won't talk too much about, but yeah, it's not a good series. That's all. I'll give you that spoiler on that one. How about that? Mr. Roboto says, as long as the first Hawkeye passes the title and she does not just take the title, yeah, there's going to be a passing of the torch. There is going to be a passing of the torch. The thing that I'm thinking of is that at the end of Endgame, we saw Hawkeye training his daughter to be an archer, and she had some ability to it. So that's why the whole thing of him being a mutant and passing on to his daughter would have been important because she would be sharing the same abilities that he did, kind of thing. And then you have it where he ends up training Kate Bishop to take his place, not his daughter. His daughter feels snubbed by it, and therefore Contessa Valentina could come in and basically take his daughter and use her for the Dark Avengers. Use that anger towards her father. Yes, let the hate flow through you. Strike me down and you'll become more powerful than you can imagine. Uh, that is old man Hawkeye, Mr. Roboto. And he's blind in Old Man. So that's the Old Man Wolverine. Old Hawkeye is blind in that one, not deaf. Yeah. Oh, is that some other comic that they gave him super hearing in it or something like that? Which canon are you talking about, though? There's been multiple things that have been rewritten. I mean, when they had the whole thing where with all the different worlds that are different universes that united into one Earth that had an amalgam, all that shit got taken out. That's why a lot of people are pissed at Marvel for fairly recently. Stanley says Hollywood and Bad Fathers, the rage. No, that's a different. That is a different channel. Yeah, yeah. Raymond says, wasn't Jackman trolling fans by suggesting he would come back as? Yeah, he did a little bit. It was actually this week. He did a little trolling on that, which I thought was funny. Philip Ademic says Elvis Lives here has 10 seasons. Is it any good? I've never heard of Elvis Lives. Don't know what that is. Mr. Roboto says Hawkeye gets stabbed in the ears. Tony gives Hawkeye hearing aids. Okay. He gets stabbed in the ears? Why would somebody stab you in the okay? That just seems kind of oddly specific, stabbing someone in the ear. Hmm. Well, what else is there out there? I have still haven't finished Modoc. I have no desire to. Speaking of, one and done, I literally fell asleep like 10 minutes into it and didn't think I missed anything at all. I just really have no desire to go back to it. It's boring as fuck. Probably the worst boring things I've ever seen. Raymond says at the end of Space Jam, LeBron's team wins the. Oh my God, that's a surprise. I am so shocked by that, Raymond. That spoiler. Yeah. I'm surprised that actually a team with LeBron James on it won. See what I did there? Yeah. Yeah. I okay, so I am not a fan of the first Space Jam movie. Um, yeah, and I'm definitely not gonna be a fan of the second one. So I didn't watch it. Yeah, and the thing is, it's the number one movie right now in theaters, Stanley, that Space Jam movie. It's animated, so kids are gonna go and see it. It's got basketball, so the sports bros are gonna go and see it as well. Yeah, so that's the reason why. Mr. Roboto says, I like Modoc, hate he has a family. Yeah, it just, I mean, the whole thing, it's unfunny. It's completely unfunny. It was supposed to play like a sitcom, but it's badly written. I just didn't like it. Yeah. Stanley said, I like Modoc overall, but it's not really good. No, it's not. And Raven Castle says it's so bad, just a lame Easter egg fest. Yeah, that's kind of what I got out of it. And I'm also not the biggest Patton Oswalt fan either. I've said this before. And yeah, them taking a Modoc character and just shitting on it is really what they did. really kind of pisses me off. Considering I do have in my spoiler alert jar here, that's Modoc, by the way. It's a Modoc tiki mug. Silver says my friend was an effects animator on the original Space Jam and he hated it. Thought it was boring as fuck. Yeah, I agree with you, Silver. It's a terrible movie. It really is. Yeah. Mr. Roboto says it has Wonder Man, so that's a plus. Really? It has Wonder Man in the Modoc series? Fuck. I like Wonder Man. So there was a great Wonder Man comic that came out. It was just the Wonder Man series. I want to say in the 90s. And it was really well done. And if they were to do a movie, that's what they should be cribbing from, is from that series. But who knows if they'll ever do a Wonder Man movie or if they'll ever introduce Wonder Man at all. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Wonder Man is underrated. Yeah. Stanley says, is nobody a good movie, Joe? I've heard it's good. I'm not going to go and see it in the theater. That's pretty much it. And also, I just don't feel like shelling out the money that they're charging on, streaming for it either. You bring it down to like $10, maybe even $5. I'll do it then. But really, right now, I'm just kind of waiting until it hits one of the, Amazon, Netflix, whatever it's going to be on, and I'll watch it through that. Keith Hamilton says Wonder Man Phase 7 confirmed. Yeah. Maybe they could gender swap one. No. Wonder Woman, funny fella, funny. Joker says the action is John Wick quality. Huh. All right. No, Mr. Roboto. So dogs are colorblind, so 3D does not work on them. The 3D glasses. Yeah. I checked it out at my local library, is what Joe Greer says. Look at you being all PSA and all that kind of stuff. Oh, there we go. Gunpowder Milkshake. I forgot I had watched that. Gunpowder Milkshake is horrible. It's got some interesting action scenes in it, but for the most part, it's pretty horrible. I have to admit, it doesn't know what tone it wants to be. And yeah, I agree with you, Joe. Gunpowder Milkshake is another beast. It's I wanted to say it was kind of, it didn't go the full route. So there's a movie out there called Bunraku, right? So Bunraku has like Ron Perlman, Woody Harrelson, Demi Moore, Josh Hartnett, who the fuck else is in that movie? There's a lot of people in this movie, right? And the way Bunraku is set up is kind of like a live action comic in a way, mixed with video games a bit. And you would think it wouldn't work, but it works really damn well. That's kind of what Gunpowder Milkshake wanted to be, but they didn't know how to do it right, and it came off really kind of crappy. So, colorblind is in black and white, Raymond. Dogs are usually, they can't see color; they're black and white. Yeah. Is it subtitled Bunraku? No, it's not. It's actually it's shot in English. There is a subtitled portion though, because there is a Japanese movie star that is in there, and I can't remember his name at the moment. And the way they did the subtitles is super fucking cool. Actually, the subtitles actually work um, they're animated in a way, so they actually work really well with what's going on in the scene. So I highly recommend Bunraku. It's Bunraku. I think I even have it up here someplace. I'm just seeing if I can find it easily, but I probably can't because, that's usually the way things work around here. I know I bought it on Blu-ray because it was so damn good that I had to do it. And I'm not seeing it anywhere within reach here. Nope, I don't see it within reach. So it's probably down here someplace. That's not the spelling of it. That's the spelling of it. It's right there. Oh. Stanley says should work on dogs too if the image frequency is high enough. So no, dogs. There is a channel out there that is made for dogs called Dog TV, and literally what they do is they have a certain color spectrum that they've done, and they've shifted off the colors so that dogs actually can see the screen. Because normally, a lot of dogs cannot see what's on TV screens; it's kind of blurry to them. So, what Dog TV has done is they've made it so that it's visual for dogs, and then also they've done content specifically for dogs, also with sounds for dogs and things like that. And it's actually done by dog behaviorists and stuff like that. There's an actual subscription service that you can do this, and I had gotten free access to it at one point back when I first got Pepper, and I would have it on. I'd actually record like 4, 5, 6 hours of it, and then just replay it when I left for the day for work. And they had certain times, like they had active time, where for 2 hours it'd be like active stuff for dogs. Then they'd have like cool down time where it was more calming for dogs. And they had sleepy time where just before bed you'd kind of put it on and let the dogs, kind of wind down and things like that. So it was actually kind of cool. My favorite one was there's a dog that's on a beach, and Pepper would stare there and stare at the dog, and the dog would go off screen to the side, and Pepper would go around the table where the TV was to see where the dog had gone. And then she'd come back and look back at the TV to see where it was, and then the dog would come back on screen, and she'd come back out in front and sit in front of the TV. So I know that actually worked. The rest of the time, she just kind of ignores the TV. Um, yeah, you don't need colors for modern 3D. You're correct, Stanley. You don't need it. You could do it in black and white. Sam Raimi did that for the Wizard of Oz one that he did. So he did some of the black and white stuff. It's in 3D, and yeah, but yeah. Raymond says Bonraku is also the name of Japanese puppet shows. Yeah, so there is that whole aspect of Japanese puppet shows. So that's what that's all about. Uh, Ron Perlman plays basically the overlord or the warlord, if you will, that has taken over everything. And yeah, so I agree with you, Apple Crow. Yeah, Bunraku does have some very cool set design to it as well. Raymond says you should have started a YouTube channel for Pepper where she rates dog TV. That was, God, that was back like 7 years ago. So, and honestly, I didn't have a subscription to it. It was just when I had cable at the time, it would come on like one of those free preview things for like a weekend. And so then I had the DVR where I just record it and then play it back for her. Joker said I bought Almost Human on DVD. All right. I like it. It's a good show. Debris, which is done by the same person, not so much, believe it or not. It has some interesting aspects to it, but it wasn't that. And I think it got canceled too. If I remember, Debris is canceled, if I'm not mistaken. But then again, it was on NBC, which that's where sci-fi goes to die. Unlike Sci-Fi, where sci-fi just goes to really die quickly, which is both NBC Universal. So there you go. Yeah. But yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else. Yeah, Gunpowder Milkshake, going back to that. Yeah, I mean, it had a really good cast of stars to it. It's just that I don't know if the storyline was bad or what it was. I mean, the whole thing with her getting her arms numb, where she can't use her arms, so she has a gun taped to one hand and scalpels taped to the other hand, and fighting by kicking her arms up in the air or swinging her arms around. And it just really fucking ridiculous. It really was. And considering that's a good chunk of the movie, I mean, it's like a good 30 minutes that she's like this. Um, yeah. Joker says, you seen the new sci-fi show? Which one? Chucky? That's out or can anybody tell me if no? Yes, I just watched No Sudden Move, as a matter of fact, Raymond, and it's excellent. Actually, it's really good. Set in the 60s. Yeah. And that actually has a really good cast. Steven Soderbergh, of course, is the director on it. Ed Solomon is the writer of the script. He, of course, did Bill and Ted, the Bill and Ted series, among other things as well. He's actually a pretty good screenwriter. I enjoyed it. I watched it last night. And it was good. I mean, watching on HBO Max, it was perfect. I mean, it was it wasn't boring, and it wasn't like overly top, like you're like, oh my god, I need to watch this again. It was just a good movie. It was kind of one of those movies that you just kind of want to relax and watch a good movie. That was it. That's what it was. Did you see Steven Soderbergh's Out of Sight? Yes, I saw it in the theater. That was okay. Stanley says, is there a newer high quality anime anyone could recommend on Netflix? There are just so many, but most are not so good. Oh, I mean, other than Castlevania, I mean, if you haven't watched all of Castlevania, I would say do that first. That actually has a good story and is actually well animated. Other than that, nothing I can think of offhand on Netflix. And Netflix has a lot of garbage anime on there. It really does. I hate to say it, but they do have a large amount of garbage anime. There is the one starts the Y. He's a black samurai. Shit, I can't remember what it's called now. Yasuke, I want to say something like that. That one's actually pretty good. They were pushing that one for hard for a while when it first came out. Yes, thank you. That's the one. Then yeah, that's pretty much all you've seen. That's the good stuff right there. Keith Hamilton recommends Tashkent. Yeah. Mushoku Tensei is fave otherworld anime. Okay. Raymond says, yeah, you want to go to Hulu or Funimation for anime. Okay. Yeah, Netflix is really kind of garbage anime. It really is. I mean, it's very hit and miss. Very, very hit and miss. You know, if you haven't seen the Voltron revival series that they did, that was actually fairly decent, I have to admit. They did a really good job with that Voltron revival series too. That's actually one of my favorites that they did. Gundam, yes, came out already. They did a new Gundam series. It just got released on Friday, as a matter of fact. It's got a weird name to it. I can't remember what it is now. It's like one of those names you're like, what? That doesn't make sense for the title, but all right. That's why I can't remember what it is. Yeah. Philip says Pacific Rim Black was a good. Nah. I didn't like it, Philip. I actually was kind of waiting for the main characters to die. I was hoping the main characters were going to die, but they never did, unfortunately. Because they were fucking annoying. They were really just kind of stupid. Stanley Tweedle says a friend already recommended Voltron, but I have no nostalgia. It doesn't make a difference. Just watch it. It's actually good. It's fairly decent. Apple Crow says Knights of Sedona is good, but weird even for anime. Excuse me. Yeah, Stanley, I didn't like Pacific Rim Black either. I think I did. Yeah, I did do it. Is it worth my time? And I think I broke it down pretty succinctly about what I didn't like about that series. And it mainly came to the two leads. The two leads were just really kind of shitty. They were whiny. They were really just made some really stupid mistakes. Not stupid mistakes, stupid decisions. Really stupid decisions. To the point where you kind of wish they would die and they didn't. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you guys go for the rest of the afternoon. What else do I have going on this week? Well, tomorrow I'm off. Tuesday is going to be another episode of Is It Worth My Time? And this time around, it's going to be the Disney Plus series Monsters at Work. Wednesday, I'm going to be off. Thursday, I'm going to be off. Oh, excuse me. Wednesday is going to be the contest results of Loki. That's what it is. The contest results of Loki, right there. That's right. If you go and take a look at the episode 6 version of Loki, you can still get in on the contest on that one. You know, only 2 people have put in their names so far. Put their names in the hat, I should say. Thursday, I'm going to be off. Friday is going to be Star Wars: The Bad Batch. Saturday is going to be Saturday Morning Blast Off, where I take the genre news of the weekend and genre stuff you guys want to talk about. We talk about it. And Sunday, we come back around again to spoiler alert. So there we go. What's the prize? Joker says it's this Loki right here. If I can get him down. It's kind of hard to bring him down. That's the prize right there. It's a Loki pop. Shiny Loki. Of course, open only to continental. Those in the continental United States. The Fruit Basket anime remake was a classic. Yep. So, Stanley says, because Dennis will not ship to me. Sorry, man. You live in Europe. It's hard for me to, pay $40 on shipping costs out to Europe. I mean, really, it's a lot of, a lot of money. It really is, especially for something free. I mean, come on. All right, everybody. I'm gonna let you guys go for the day, weekend, night, wherever you are, what time of day it is. Thank you to everybody who joined me today in the chat, and thank you if you made it this far in the video. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. Basically, YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching, tries to match it as best as possible. One of the videos might pass for your library and pops up there just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below there. Also, if you can, hit that like button and the share button someplace over here. And if you want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, hit that bell down below. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule up there. I change it out every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media up there and all the links to my pages as well. Stanley says, tell me the cost of shipping and you'll get a super chat. But see, that's the whole thing though, man. I don't want to charge people for shipping on an item that they're winning. That's just wrong. That's why it's easier just to ship it out to people in the continental United States and more affordable. So it is a hassle to get it out. Making sure that it survives an international trip and things like that. It's bad enough in the States. I mean, come on. The U.S. Postal Service tries to take package destroying to a different level when they're, delivering stuff. So you really have to package it up. I mean, I found a new packaging system completely by random. It happened to be because I ordered from Funko for Captain Kirk over here, and it came in a really good packaging system. I'm like, never seen that before. That's actually really cool. So that's what that's getting shipped out in. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody. I will let you guys go for the day. Have a good rest of your weekend. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may end up finding out that at the end of Planet of the Apes, it really was our planet that Chuck Heston landed back on. It just was 3,000 years in the future, and they blew it all up, those maniacs, and damn them all to hell. Thank you, everybody. I will see you again on Tuesday. Until then, stay safe, be well, take care, wear those masks, get those vaccine shots, and I'll see you then. Have a good rest of your weekend. Good night, everybody, or good day, or good weekend, good afternoon. Thanks, everyone. See ya.